Why do women chase the man who pulled away, but ignore the one who gave them everything? Why does your silence echo louder in her mind than your constant presence ever did? And today's topic is a powerful one in our series on female psychology. We're talking about what a woman really feels when you're not around. And no, it's not as simple as she misses you. That's wishful thinking. The truth is, a woman goes through a roller coaster of emotions when you're absent, and depending on what kind of man you were before the absence, that roller coaster either ends in regret or total freedom from you. Let's be real. Most guys think that being present 24/7, always available, always texting, always checking in, is the way to show they care. But you know what that really does? It makes you predictable, boring, and sadly, disposable. But your absence? That's when the real work begins. That's when she finally has the space to feel. Not just about you, but about herself, her attraction, her doubts, and her desires. This video breaks down exactly what goes on in a woman's mind when you're gone. Not in theory, but in reality. We're going to show you how your absence can either haunt her or free her. If you've ever pulled back from a woman, whether on purpose or because life got in the way, this video will explain the unseen emotional process she experiences. You'll learn how to make your absence felt, not just noticed. And if you're tired of always being the one who's left wondering, stick around. Let's get into it. 1. She only feels your worth when you're gone. Here's the hard truth most men never realize. A woman doesn't fully feel your presence until she feels your absence. When you're constantly available, constantly replying, constantly showing up, you make yourself part of her routine. You become expected, familiar, predictable. And once that happens, her mind stops appreciating you. Not because she's evil or manipulative, but because that's how humans work. We stop valuing what we don't have to earn. But when you pull back, not out of games, but because you're focused on yourself, that's when your value hits her. Suddenly, the man she had on standby isn't so easy to reach anymore. The emotional safety net she thought would always be there isn't. And that silence, that absence, it starts echoing. It makes her feel things she didn't expect. She starts to wonder, why hasn't he called? Is he over me? Did I mess this up? And for the first time in a long time, she starts doing the emotional work. Now here's where it gets real. A woman doesn't miss you, at least not right away. She misses the feeling she had when you were around. That sense of importance, attention, validation. When that's taken away, her emotional system panics. It starts searching for that feeling again. But because you're not there to give it to her anymore, she starts realizing just how much it actually meant. Let's say you were the guy who used to call her every night. No matter what, you checked in, listened to her problems, made her feel safe. But then you stopped. Maybe you got busy. Maybe you finally realized she was giving you less than what you gave her. So you backed off. Suddenly, that nightly call she rolled her eyes at, she wants it again. She starts looking at her phone, wondering if it's on silent. She starts checking your social media. She even replays old voice notes, not because she's weak, but because your absence finally made her feel your worth. This is the moment when the balance shifts. When you were always present, you were trying to be valuable. But when you walk away, she's forced to measure your value. And the best part? You didn't have to convince her. You didn't have to beg. You just had to disappear long enough for her to notice what she lost. That's when a woman finally understands what you brought to the table. So the next time you feel like pulling back makes you look weak or disinterested, remember this. Your presence never hits as hard as your absence, if you carried yourself like a man worth missing. 2. Your distance makes her chase herself. When you step back from a woman, something unexpected happens. She doesn't just chase you, she starts chasing herself. That might sound strange, but here's what it really means. Your distance forces her to confront parts of herself she was avoiding when you were constantly around. See, when a man is present all the time, many women use that presence as a distraction. They soak up the attention, the validation, the emotional comfort, and they don't have to look too deeply into how they actually feel about you or themselves. But when you pull away, that emotional noise disappears. And now, she's stuck with her thoughts. Not your messages, not your voice, not your attention, just her. And that's where the chase begins, but not after you. Not yet. She starts chasing clarity, chasing feelings, chasing that sense of control she lost when you backed off. Women are emotional processors. They replay conversations. They overanalyze. They wonder if something changed, about you or about them. And that loop in their mind? It only spins faster when they don't have access to you. And here's the part that most men overlook. Women don't like emotional confusion. They need to label things. They need to know if a man is into them, if he's slipping away, or if he's testing them. So when you create distance, you create space for her to start working out those answers. And those answers aren't always comfortable for her. She starts asking herself questions like, why do I care that he's not calling? Was I taking him for granted? Do I actually miss him or just the attention? Was I even treating him right? And those questions? That's her chasing herself. Not because you told her to. Not because you played a game. But because your absence created an emotional vacuum. And now she has to fill it. This is where emotional tension builds. You didn't chase her. You didn't flood her phone. You didn't beg for attention. All you did was pull back. And now she has to deal with the silence. That silence becomes a mirror. It reflects her behavior, her choices, her attitude toward you. And that's the shift right there. It's no longer about whether you're enough for her. Now it's about whether she was enough for you. When you were close, she had control. She got to react on her terms. But now that you're distant, she's reacting to your terms. And that imbalance, it makes her restless. It's not about punishing her or making her feel bad. Face do the teaching you never could. Because when a woman has to live without the version of you she took for granted, she finally learns the price of your presence. 4. Her emotions turn against her. At first, when you go quiet or pull away, she acts unbothered. She might even seem relieved, like she's free, like she finally has space. Maybe she posts more, goes out more, even laughs louder online. You see it and think, she doesn't care at all. But what you're not seeing is what happens behind the scenes, the part that no filter or story can cover up. Because after the silence sets in and the distractions fade, her own emotions start working against her. Here's the truth most men don't understand. Women feel everything twice. First, they feel it emotionally. Then, they feel it mentally. So even if she plays it cool at first, it doesn't last. Because eventually, her emotional system starts turning on her. She begins feeling things she didn't expect. Guilt, doubt, jealousy, confusion, anxiety. And it's not because you sent her a long text or begged for attention. It's because you didn't. And that lack of contact forces her to deal with feelings she's been running from. Now here's the crazy part. Her own mind becomes the enemy. She starts replaying your last conversation. She reads between lines that don't exist. She wonders why you didn't chase her. She questions if she was even worth the effort. All those things she used to be sure about, gone. Just like you. And that's when it really starts to sting. Because before, she could rely on your attention to quiet her doubts. Your messages, your calls, your presence, it kept her emotional world in balance. But now that you're gone, that balance disappears. And without you to absorb all her moods and outbursts, guess who gets hit with all of it? Her. You're not arguing with her. You're not giving her emotional feedback. You've gone silent. And now she's left alone to fight herself. That's when she spirals. And no, she won't always show it. Women are masters of hiding emotional chaos behind pretty smiles. But the internal shift is real. Because now she has to live with the emotional mess she never cleaned up when you were around. And let's be honest, this is the part where most men cave. You start to feel guilty. You start wondering if she's hurting. You consider reaching out just to ease the tension. But don't. Because this is the exact moment where the power flips. Not in a manipulative way, but in a real way. For once, she's the one facing the confusion. She's the one losing sleep. She's the one carrying the emotional weight. Your absence didn't make her miserable. Her own emotions did. All you did was leave her alone with the truth. And for some women, that's the scariest part of all. 5. She starts doubting her own value. When you step back from a woman, especially one who's used to getting attention, something unexpected starts happening deep inside her. She stops questioning you and starts questioning herself. It doesn't happen overnight. In the beginning, she might think you're just busy, or she'll tell herself that you're playing games. But the longer the silence lasts, the more it messes with her confidence. And here's why. Your absence removes the mirror. See, a lot of women, whether they realize it or not, measure their worth based on how men respond to them. If you're texting back fast, calling regularly, planning dates, complimenting her, she feels desired, wanted, safe, and that makes her feel valuable, like she still has it. But the second that stops, her mind kicks in with doubt. Was I not good enough? Did I lose him? Is there something wrong with me? And the big one, is he seeing someone better? These thoughts don't show up because you insulted her. They show up because you disappeared without explaining yourself, and now she's left to fill in the blanks. A woman's ego may try to tell her she's still in control, but deep down, her emotional center starts to shake. Especially if you were the guy who made her feel special, the guy who made her feel seen without trying too hard. That type of presence leaves a mark. Let's say you used to message her every morning, just a quick, "Hope you have a good day." She'd respond, sometimes casually, sometimes with excitement, but she knew it was coming. It became a rhythm, a form of reassurance. Then one day, it stops. No warning, no goodbye, just silence. At first, she pretends not to care. Maybe she even posts something flirty online to get your attention. But as the hours turn to days, her confidence cracks. She keeps checking her phone, keeps wondering if you're mad, if she messed up, if you're with someone else. Suddenly, her sense of worth doesn't feel so stable. And that's when the emotional spiral starts. She goes from believing she had you wrapped around her finger to realizing she may have misunderstood her own value in your life. And that hits her hard. Why? Because your silence didn't just remove you, it removed the version of herself she liked the most. The one who felt desirable, in control, and chosen. Now she's left trying to figure out where she stands. Not with you, but with herself. And that's the most uncomfortable place for her to be. So no, your absence doesn't just make her miss the attention. It makes her question if she was ever truly worth it. And once that doubt enters her mind, it's hard for her to shake it. 6. Your silence makes her see other men differently. When you go silent, something shifts in how she looks at other men. It's not that she suddenly falls for the first guy who comes along. It's more complicated than that. Here's the deal. When you're present, she has a baseline, a standard. She knows what it feels like to have a man who shows up, who listens, who has that quiet confidence, that subtle power, that ability to pull back without panic. And it sets a benchmark. But when you disappear and go silent, she's left trying to figure out what that benchmark even was. The problem? Most men don't measure up to what you were to her. So when she sees other guys, whether it's a casual glance or a conversation, she compares. She notices who texts back too fast, who tries too hard, who seems desperate for approval, who lacks that calm, composed presence she once had with you. And suddenly, the men she used to dismiss as not serious or not her type start looking different. Because in the absence of your steady presence, those men become the noisy background players trying to fill a stage you once owned. But here's the catch. She doesn't want those guys. Not really. She's just confused. Her mind is torn between the memory of what you represented and the reality of what's around her now. So while she might engage with others, ask questions, or entertain flirtations, it's usually because she's searching for something that even they can't give. This is where your silence works like a double-edged sword. It doesn't just make her miss you, it makes her realize that most other men don't compare. But it also frustrates her, because the guys she sees don't bring the same calm strength, the same self-control, or the same quiet respect you had. At the same time, your silence forces her to reevaluate what she really wants. She may not say it out loud, but deep down, she starts to understand the difference between a man who chases and a man who values himself enough to walk away. And that realization, it can be painful, because it shines a spotlight on the choices she's made, the way she treated you, and the way she reacted when you first pulled back. Ultimately, your silence rewires how she sees other men, not by making her fall for someone else faster, but by making her see that none of them quite measure up to the standard you set, simply by being a man who knows his worth and doesn't beg. 7. She hates that you're not begging. Here's a harsh truth many men don't want to hear. Women hate it when you don't beg for their attention. It cuts deep because begging is weakness disguised as love. It's desperation dressed up as affection. And the moment you stop begging, the power flips, and she can't stand it. Why? Because begging tells her two things. You need her more than she needs you, and you're willing to lower your value to get her to stay. When you beg, you give her control. You let her decide your worth. And guess what? Most men keep doing it, hoping a little more pleading will fix what's broken. But here's the wake-up call. Begging kills respect, both hers and yours. No woman respects a man who drops to his knees begging for scraps of attention. She might tolerate it at first, but deep down, it makes her lose respect. She sees it as a lack of backbone, a sign that you don't value yourself enough to walk away. The irony? When you stop begging, when you pull back and keep your dignity intact, she feels the loss more. It annoys her. It frustrates her. Because suddenly, you're not the pushover she expected. You're not chasing, you're not desperate, you're showing her you have options, and that's terrifying for her ego. This is where many men mess up. They think showing strength means chasing harder or explaining themselves. But real strength is walking away silently. It's knowing your worth without needing validation. It's staying calm when she's acting out, confident that you don't need to beg to be wanted. If you want a woman to truly respect you, you must stop begging. Stop texting first all the time. Stop apologizing for your feelings like they're a crime. Stop lowering your standards just to keep her around. When you do that, You take back control of your life. Here's the advice every man needs to hear. Wake up and realize your value isn't tied to her approval. If she respects you, she'll chase you. If she doesn't, your begging won't fix it. It'll only speed up your loss of respect. So, stand tall, be silent when needed, keep your dignity, and never ever beg. Because the moment you do, you lose more than her. You lose yourself. Let's wrap things up with this. A woman only truly feels your worth when you're gone, and that means most men are wasting their time trying to prove themselves while still sticking around too much. If you're constantly begging for her attention, you're handing her the power to take you for granted. The moment you disappear, that's when the game really starts. And if you're not willing to step back and let her realize what she's losing, you'll never be more than an option. This video isn't just theory. It's real talk from a place of experience and observation. I want you to think hard about your own relationships. Have you pulled back and watched her react? Or have you stayed glued to her every word, hoping she'll finally appreciate you? I want to hear your stories, your wins, and even your struggles. Drop your experiences in the comments. I read every single one, and I'll reach out to some of you personally because this channel is about building real connections, not just throwing advice at the wall. Remember, this journey isn't about manipulation. It's about reclaiming your value and demanding respect without begging for it. If you can do that, you don't just change how she sees you. You change how you see yourself. And that's where true power begins. So don't hold back. Comment below, share your truth, and let's talk. Because here, you're not alone.